Hi, this is Kirsty from Kate Days a Week, and today I'm going to show you how to make Poppy from Trolls. So to start with, I've got my fondant icing and my sugar paste, which I've done a 50-50 mix and then added some sugar flare colour to dye it. I've got a picture of Poppy by my side and I'm just colour matching as best as we go. So as you can see here, I've got an egg-shaped ball and a round ball, and this is going to make up Poppy's head. So I'm going to cut off the bottom of the egg-shaped ball and stick it together with a cocktail stick. I like to use these as the insides of my models just for weight purposes, and then just make them last a wee bit longer, so when you pop them off your cake you can keep them for longer. Like I said. So as you can see, I've got the wee small egg-shaped ball, which is going to be her body, and as she's going to be standing up, I'm just going to pop 2 wee cocktail sticks in the bottom. Then I'm going to pop that into a dummy just for while I'm working on her until she eases up. I do my models a couple of days in advance, so they're nice and hard, and I just prefer having them kind of stand up in a dummy, so when you pop them in the cake they're nice and secure. Next up, we're going to do her, or first up, sorry I should say, we're going to do her legs. So I have, as you can see, a sausage shape, which I'm tapering at the end and just kind of moulding it on as a wee foot. Just kind of pulling with your fingers until you're kind of happy. She's got quite wide legs at the bottom and kind of taper up a wee bit, so just just match as you go. There's not really any method to how to get them to be exactly the same, because they're going to be a wee bit different anyway, so don't stress too much. But yeah, so you've got a wee left and a right foot. And then next up, with my dressing tool, I'm just going to make her wee toes, which she has 3 of, and again, just until you're happy, just keep kind of playing away with them and shaping them up as best as you can. As you can see, same with the other one, just 3 wee toes and then just foot it about until you're happy. And then also I pop a wee mark where her ankle joint would be, as you'd have like a natural crease there. So as you can see, I'm just going to take off my wee egg-shaped ball, and where the wee holes are left, that'll be a good guide for later, and just kind of pop your wee legs over the cocktail stick, slide them down and pop until they come out the top, so you've got a wee bit for the body to stick to. As you can see, there's a wee bit of the cocktail stick hanging out, and then do the same with the other leg. And like I said, because we pre-put that wee ball on, there's going to be wee guided holes for when you pop it back on, it'll join it back together quite easily. I'm just making sure her feet are at the angles that I would like to have. You can at this stage take a bit longer to let them dry, so you could leave these for a day and come back and it just means they'll be really solid. But as this is a wee tutorial, I just did it all in one for you guys. And there we go. So next up, again, I've got my pink paste, which I'm giving it a wee knead, and we're going to make her head. So as you can see, the way we've made up the shape of her head, there's a big crease, so I'm just going to fill that with some paste so it's a wee bit smooth to work onto. So just wee sausages, slide it in, no one's going to see it, so it really doesn't need to be that perfect. Yep, just keep going, keep rolling it, just so you've got a smooth line and you've not got a big edge on it. And like I said, it's going to be underneath the fondant we're going to cover over with, so yeah, it just gives the shape of her big tall hair. You grab another wee bit of paste. This is going to be used to be her face, so I'm going to do this model in halves, so I'm going to do the front half first and then the back. So just get a little bit of paste, roll it out. As you can see, I forgot my silicone rolling pin at home, so I'm using one from the house, which isn't the best, but it'll do. And just cover your polystyrene ball. You can adhese it with water, but my paste was quite warm, so it seemed to stick okay by itself. And yeah, just slide it on. I'm just going to grab another wee bit of paste to stick on in the back, just as a wee support while I work on her face. As you can see, it'll just help prop it up. So just smoothing out, making sure it's nice and neat. And next up, we're going to do a wee bridge for her nose. So I've got my picture beside as reference. Her wee face is quite far to the bottom of her head, so I'm just making a wee seam where to kind of guide where my nose is going to go and the eyes are going to go. So I think with the ends of my paintbrush, I'm just going to put in wee divot holes for her eyes. Looking back now, maybe her eyes could have been a wee bit close together, because she does have quite big eyes and they are quite tight. Mine still had a bit of a gap, but just with the bottom of your paintbrush, doesn't need to be too hard. Just make your 2 wee holes and kind of tap out the rough edge so it's nice and soft. And then with my fingers, I'm just guiding in, obviously you've got the ball underneath so you have a surface. I'm just guiding in some sort of cheekbones and the bridge of her nose. So next up, I'm going to do her wee mouth. Again, it's quite close to her eyes, so just use it as a guide and kind of follow your picture. And with the sharp end of your dredging tool, create a wee smile. And then I use a paintbrush to kind of smooth out any kind of imperfections that I'm not that happy with, because obviously sometimes the fondant and the paste can like tag a wee bit, can catch a wee bit. And then with the other side of my dredging tool, put in wee smile lines for her and just push in underneath her smile, and that'll give you the kind of, she's got a prominent top lip as opposed to bottom, so just keep working away to create that smile for her. Again, you can do loads of different shapes, loads of different faces. So we're going to just take the same paste and with my food colouring I'm just going to dye a wee bit darker for her nose, because her nose is more of a hot pink. All my colours are dye myself, so I just kind of wing it and hope for the best, so there's not any method that you need to be wary of. As you can see, that wasn't dark enough, so I'm just going to add another wee bit as you go. A little goes a long way with these paste, the gel colour, sorry I should say, so just be wary of that, don't use it a lot, just build it up. So I've got a wee tic tac shape which I'm just rolling out, and then what I'm going to use, the end of my wee tool again, I'm just going to capture the left and the right of our nostrils, which kind of taper out a wee bit. I mean, her nose is really quite tiny, so it is quite fiddly, but if you bear with it, you should be able to kind of sculpt as best you can. And as you can see, I've got my cornflower there, which obviously helps with it sticking. And yep, just stick it right on. Obviously arrange the bigger part to the centre and just taper out our nose as best you can. The paste will still be quite malleable, so you can keep working at it and changing it, and if you're unhappy obviously do it again. But as you can see, our wee smile on our nose is there. So next up we've got our wee eyeballs, so just need a wee bit of white fondant and then just 2 little balls and just tap them into the wee sockets that you've created. As you can see, I'm not really that happy with the mouth, so I'm just going to add another wee edit. You can keep going back and forth. Next up we've got some black. We're going to do her eyelids. I prefer rolling the back of my hand, always have done, just feel like for me it's easier to get a really tapered edge, so just little sausages, taper them off, and then just stick around the white kind of to the between 8 o'clock and 1 o'clock. I don't know if that's a good way of explaining that. Not totally over, kind of half moon shape, a wee bit off to the side. I'm just trimming away the wee excess there because it's a wee bit long. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side, again using the back of my hand, a wee bit of black, and just taper out the edges, and then just with your paintbrush just mould them into shape. This is quite fiddly, I still find it fiddly to this day. You can have good days and bad days with it, but yeah. So next up, just her little pupils. Hers, if you look at the picture, her pupils sit central to her eye, and she has white all the way around it, so just do the same again, pop in the centre and give it a good wee tap, just so it's flat. And I'm doing her eyebrows, as you can see, just another wee sausage, same as the eyelids, taper the wee edges and just position them. Eyebrows are really good at capturing facial expressions, so she's quite happy, so I'm making hers kind of quite high up above her eyes and towards the centre. Obviously to create a sad look, you dip them, you can pull them out of the way, whatever, shock look, make them higher, but I'm just kind of following the picture that I have for reference of the pose that I'm going for. Next up we've got the wee pupils, so otelli. Next up we're doing eyelashes, so again tiny wee sausages. She's such a small model, this can be done with a paintbrush and paint. I decided though I felt like her eyelashes were quite full, so maybe fondant would give me a better sort of look, so just little sausages. Again, my knife is sharp, so I am cutting on the back of my hand, but I'm skilled with that, so you can do it on a board, you can do it on whatever. And for me, I just feel that's the most control I have on these tiny wee bits of fondant, is doing it on the back of my hand. But obviously please be careful. Don't want you coming back saying you've cut yourself. As you can see, they are so small and they were very temperamental, so this did take me a wee bit longer than what I would have liked, but there we go, 3 on each side, just wee collections of lashes for her. And the last wee bit is wee pupils, so tiny little circles in the centre of the dark pink dot of our wee irises. And then we're going to do some wee catch lights, so use the last bit of your white and roll kind of smaller wee balls I always do too. I just feel it makes them look a wee bit friendlier. So just position them kind of to the left and right of the pupil towards the top of the eye. And as you can see, we've got a wee cherry poppy coming together. So next up, we've got our cotton stick. So we're going to try and join her to the body. So what we're going to do is pop the stick in the bottom of our head, neck, or this would create our neck, I suppose. And again, another wee dodge of fondant to make a wee kind of support for her while we work on her hair. So just pop her to the side and she'll start to ease up a wee bit. So just with some white fondant, this is just normal fondant, it's not mixed with sugar paste because it's the hair, it's to be textural, it doesn't need to be as stiff as. Give it a good wee knead. And again, just builds up your colour with the Sugar Flare gel colour. It's quite a thick colour, so like I said, a little goes a long way. And make sure you've got a mat that doesn't shift about as well as me. Obviously, in the circumstances, I've brought everything home, so I'm making do as we go along. So just build up your colour until you're happy. Her hair is a wee bit more hot pink as opposed to her face, which is obviously still quite pink, but a little lighter. I think I'm just doing a wee colour match, as you can see, just to make sure it's a bit darker. And what we're going to do first is we are going to do her little, so we're going to do the front part of her head, our hair, so like her fringe. So just get a wee paintbrush and a wee bit of water, and we're just going to paint in where we want that fondant to go. So just, she's got quite a big heavy side fringe towards the right. So first get a wee bit of your hot pink paste, roll a wee ball and taper into, just taper your edges. Make it like a big eyebrow, like what I was doing with my hands, and just flatten it out. And then with your dressing tool, you're going to just mark in some texture, so just little lines. Use the main points as your wee dot to dot, as you like. And then once that's done, you can taper, have a wee play about, and just stick it to her head. So it does cover her eyebrow on the right, so you can lift it up if you like, if you'd rather see her full face. I'm just rolling another little sausage with one tapered end, just as a wee kind of stray bit of hair, because she does have one bit that kind of comes down. As you can see, I'm just sticking that over and shaping it the way that I want it to sit. And then we're going to do the wee one towards on the left hand of her head, left side of her head. So again, similar shape as to the right side of her fringe, just smaller, and again just stick it on as best as you like, with that little bit of water. You shouldn't need anything stronger at this stage because it's just fondant to fondant. So I'm just trimming off any excess, because obviously that will create a wee ridge when we're doing our hair, so you just kind of want it to be as flat as possible. So you can save that little bit of fondant, because it's a skin colour, we can make her ears from it. So just make a little oval shape, flatten out with your finger, and with your dressing tool, kind of dig in towards the centre to create that wee ridge that she has. And again, just guide the size by what you've created. So I'm just, her ears are quite big, so I'm just sticking on with a wee bit of water, and then I'm going to move her hair so that it sits over in a natural position. The ears, because they obviously are kind of, they've got little surface contact, they're going to be a wee bit, they will fall away, so if that happens you can put some tissue behind it, or you can set her head until it sticks. But I find it with a wee bit of work, it does stick quite fine. So as you can see, I've done the same on the other side, just using my dressing tool to mark in the top part of the ear, and stick to the side. So next up, we're going to do it, like I said, in halves. I'm working on this wee model, so I'm going to do the front half of her hair first and the back half when she's all together. So just get your hot pink paste, and cut a nice sharp line that you're going to kind of join up, and then put in the texture of her hair. I went with the poppy model that's got the big tall hair as opposed to her high ponytail. I just prefer the look of it, but you can do whatever you like. And then dab your wee ball, again cover it with a wee bit of water, and just match up your lines and fold it round. So what we're going to do now is I'm just dabbing that wee line and try and merge it as best I can, obviously tucking it in behind the ears, and obviously the top part of our hair does go into a little point, and it does come in tight and then out at top, so just use your hands and just kind of sculpt round, and then with your dressing tool you can match up the wee lines, but not to worry because she's got a headband that's going to cover that join anyway, so you really don't need to be too fragile. So just pull that up, and again, and taper out her wee bit of spiky hair at the top, which you can do with the dresden. So just use your finger as a back and just pull the dresden with the paste in the middle, and it will start to taper up and fan out a wee bit as best as you can. And as you can see, her wee head obviously is coming together quite nicely, so just keep playing about till you're happy. So next up, I'm just finishing off some wee bits of her hair because her hairband will cover. So again, just another little bit of tiny wee bits of paste just to create a wee bit more wisps. But as you can see, I'm quite happy, so I'm going to join her to her body. So just with the cocktail stick, just give her a good wee squeeze. Because we've got the polystyrene in, you can need to be a wee bit more forceful, but she'll join up quite neatly, which is quite nice. Now, she is a wee bit wobbly at this stage. You can prop her up, or you can add her a couple of supports. I'm just going to put a wee bit of, I've got a big tub of Tarlo that I'm going to put behind her while we do her dress. So I've decided to go for a pale blue or kind of teal colour for her dress, and I'm going to paint in the sort of ombre effect as opposed to doing it all with fondant. I just feel I have a wee bit more control with the paintbrush. So just get a wee drop of paste, roll it out. As you can see, it's not the best rolling pin. I'm trying my best. Until you've got a nice wee thin bit, and then measure it up against our body and cut a wee rectangle. So I'm just going to wet her body down. Maybe more of the top half, because she's a dress, it's not going to be shorts or anything, and you want to flare that wee dress. So just cut to a wee angle the piece of fondant and wrap it around her body and push it in around her neck like I'm doing, and then with my thumb and my forefinger I'm just going to pull out her skirt and just taper it into a bit of an angle so it sits quite organically out rather than being straight or stuck to her body. Again, it's quite fiddly, so just take your time, but as you can see, I'm quite happy. I'm just going to keep kind of playing with that paste until I've got it the way that I want it. And then she does have a little kind of fold on the top of her dress, so just a little rectangle, taper the edges and just stick that over her right shoulder. And just with the bottom of her dressing tool, put 2 wee dots because she's got a little kind of buckle or thread sort of holding that wee patch together. Next up, we're going to do her arms. So just get your paste back, your skin colour paste. Again, roll a wee sausage. I'm using a wee bit of corn flour here because it's a wee bit sticky. And then taper one end and flatten it. And then she's got 4 fingers, so you're just going to cut a little thumb and then miss a wee one, pull a bit out, and then cut 3 fingers. And then with your 4 fingers, just pull her wee fingers into a wee rounded position. And tape them as is. Now her stance, I'm going to have her kind of with her hands out to her side, so I'm just going to keep working with that paste, and then I'm going to fold her arm up just so that our fingers prop out a wee bit better. As you can see, I'm just going to flare them slightly so they sit at a right hand angle, and then just attach their body with a little bit of water. Again, I didn't really measure it to her size. I felt like, maybe over time I've just been able to guess these things, but you can, if you'd rather take a bit more care, measure it aside her body, and you can pop them from there. But maybe it was just first time luck that it managed to be the correct size. And then with the other hand, she does have a lot of different poses. Poppy, I decided to go for both hands outside rather than a kind of arched out, kind of propped up arm. I just didn't feel like, I preferred the look of two, a wee bit cuter, I suppose. So same with the other hand. As you can see, I've just tapered the fingers out, and just stick that to the body again with a little bit of water, and she'll be good to go, or her arms will be good to go, I should say. Just giving it a nice wee shape. Just make sure it's stuck quite securely. Sorry, I'm quite messy, so just ignore all that mess. So next up, like I said, we've done the model in half, so I'm going to just start covering up our wee back. Every cake has a back, so you don't need to worry about the back being as perfect as the front in my eyes. I prefer it obviously to be neat, but it does need to obviously have as much detail. So I'm just removing that wee bit of overlap from her dress. I didn't like it as much, so I'm going to roll a nice wee neat rectangle just to neaten that up for her. So yeah, just get some hot pink paste, roll it into, again, kind of like it doesn't need to be a perfect shape, maybe like an extended tic-tac sort of shape. Just measure up against her head to make sure it will cover the surface area that needs to be covered. And just flatten out with your fingers, neaten up that raw edge. And then with your Dresden tool, pop in your hairlines. Oh yeah, didn't really like that edge. Pop in your hairlines, and then again with a bit of water, just be careful, obviously not to crush her wee face, but just place it onto the back of our head and just neaten up those wee lines. Wrap it around the wee top part of our pineapple sort of hairstyle. So as you see with my fingers, I'm just being quite gentle and quite careful and just meet those wee lines up. And if you have a massive overlay, that's fine, a wee knife, and just trim away any excess that you might have. Because we can, with your finger, you can kind of rub that away, and it's quite fortunate that it's our hair and it's got lines on anyway, so we can with a dressing tool go over those wee joins with that, and it'll just become part of our hair. As you can see I'm just kind of flattening out that wee side and just making sure the shape stays the way that I want it to stay. So I've got the flat end of my dressing tool and I'm just kind of blending all that line away and making sure that it's as neat as you like. But like I said, it is the back of the model, so you can be quite, you don't need to be as careful, I suppose. And it's good because we've used just the fondant, it will stay a wee bit more malleable as opposed to the half fondant, half sugar paste. So as I say, we need to cover our wee bum, so she's obviously a bit cold at the minute, so just get your other wee bit of blue and cut a little rectangle. Again, I think with time I've been able to kind of guesstimate this as best as possible, but yeah, a wee rectangle's all you need, and just a wee dose of water, and once it's on, you can just stick it together. Yeah, a wee bit of water and just pop that on the back of her. And just neaten those lines away, similar fashion to the hair. Just with my fingers, I'm just kind of buffing out that sort of crease. But to be fair, you could do it in line with her arms, so you wouldn't see anything anyway. And there we go. So that's me. I'm happy with her body. And I'm happy with the cover of her hair. So next up we are going to do her headband. So the base of the headband is a teal colour, which I'm just going to mix some blue and some excess green that I have. You can use pre-made gels and pre-made teals, but it's just as easy for me to mix them together. So just get those together and get your colour. And I'm just using a paintbrush here because my rolling pin was a bit temperamental, it's sticking quite bad, so it's only for a wee bit of fondant anyway. So just use the end of it, or use your rolling pin, roll it out, and what we'll do is, it needs to be the front half of our hair, so just cut a long rectangle, nice thin one. You don't want it to be too thick, it is our headband off after all, and just a wee bit of water on the back of that, and then this will cover that crease that I was saying not to worry about earlier on. So just from cover over where that join is and just cut off just behind our ears, and just stick down as best as you like, and just flatten out so it's nice and flat. You can see, stuck to the front. And now she's got, I actually don't have any flower cutters with me at home, so I'm going to make them organically, but they're quite an odd shape. They're 3 petal flowers, so I'm just going to roll little teardrop shapes, as you can see, just little balls, and make those flowers together in my own sort of made up way. I'm just going to dab them out, and as you can see, you get the shape that you need. So again, a little bit of water, and you can either arrange it as one or put the petals on in bits, whatever you feel most comfortable. I started to do it all as one, and then actually felt I had a wee bit more control doing it petal by petal, which does take a little bit longer. So, and equally, you can use a flower cutter. It doesn't need to be done like this. I was just doing it as true to the picture as I felt right. So 3 petals to 1 flower, so obviously I'm on the 6. And then just flatten them out either at this stage, or you can flatten them out on the head of the troll, whatever you feel more comfortable doing. But yeah, give it a wee flatten out. And that creates her wee headband. And then next up, obviously, we need to do the little leaves, which go the sort of inside or the outside of the little flowers. So these are the same shape, but one side's tapered, or sorry, 2 sides are tapered. So tiny wee bits, as you can see. Again, it's 3 to 1 flower, so these are quite fiddly, but they are worth it for the overall look. The devil's in the detail, as they say. So you can skip this bit, it's totally not necessary. Or if you have flower cutters, you can obviously layer up 2 of them, so 1 blue and 1 green, and that'll give you the same sort of effect. But I've got all my little ones here, as you can see, a bit temperamental, and just a little bit of water, and obviously just stick those in the centre of each petal. and that'll give her a wee detailed headband, which is nice. As you can see, they jump about a wee bit, so you can either use a tool, use your finger, whatever you feel happy. I have more control, I think, with my hands. I feel you need to be able to feel the fondant and see how it's working as opposed to wearing gloves or anything. So obviously my hands are well cleaned on a minute basis at the minute. Last little one going on now, and that's me happy with our wee headband. I think I'm just going to get some more wee flower paste here, and I'm just going to cover, I think, over the edge of her wee of the edge of our wee headband. So just some more hair texture. Again, this is me just being a wee bit, it's really not necessary. I just wanted to fluff out our hair a wee bit more, because when I looked back at the picture I felt like even though the egg shape's given us that height, it's maybe not giving us the width that we need. So just a little bit of paste. I'm just kind of giving her more of a fuller sort of pineapple hairstyle. So I'm just sticking those on at the sides and then merging, as you can see, just merging the lines together. You do have a lot of room with this because of the hair textures. It means you don't need to worry about the lines joining and having a big crease. So like I said, same again, just get your wee bit of paste and roll out your hairlines and then stick it to the head and just merge those lines together with the dressing tool as best as you can. Again, like I said, this is a totally extra step. It's really not necessary. She was fine before, but me being a perfectionist just felt like it just gave her a wee bit more of a shape to her that I kind of felt was necessary. So I'm just being a bit fiddly. But as you can see, it's slightly made it a bit thicker. It's not massive at all. And that's us. So last step, we're going to move on. Like I said, for our two-tone dress, rather than do it with the fondant, I feel like I have more control with paint. So just get your, I use the Sugar Flare gel colour and a little bit of water or clear alcohol or lemon extract, whatever you have to hand. Just dab. We're going to paint obviously the top part of our dress where it's blue. Again, there's not really any knack to it. Just be quite generous. You want the blue obviously to stand out. So just kind of circular motions. Just pop that on her wee dress, kind of going halfway, and I'll show you a wee trick to make an easy ombre, which is with a paintbrush. It's dead easy. So just paint the top half of her dress. I'm obviously going to do the front first, and I'll do the back later when it dries, because you'll need a holder just for a wee bit of support. But just painting and filling in any wee marks. Again, clear alcohol, water will do the trick, or lemon extract. I'd never really use it. I don't like this. I feel like it adds taste. And like I said, just what I've did there is just dry my brush off with a wee towel, and then you're just going to smudge in that ombre. So just smudge that line away, and that'll create a nice wee fade, and that gives you the nice royal, like kind of sky blue colour at the top with the teal at the bottom. And next she's got a wee pattern on her dress, which is kind of like a wee flower pattern. So when you're happy with the blue, as you can see, I'm just going to fiddle about with it. So next up we've got our white, next up we're going to do her blusher. So I've just got my petal palette and this kind of hot pink colour I use for everything. I'm just going to give her a wee bit of warmth to her cheeks, which are quite rosy, as well as the joints of her arms and the creases of her feet. I just feel it gives it a wee bit something extra. You can use food colouring for this, watered down food colouring, or loose dusts, whatever you prefer. I use my palette because it's quite subtle. And then with your white powder, again, water or clear alcohol, we're going to paint the pattern on her dress. So it's kind of the same sort of shapes as our flower crown, so kind of teardrop shapes and threes, and then a scalloped edge. So just paint in. I didn't measure, I didn't trace, I just winged it really. So you can skip this step. It's totally not needed if you don't want that. But I just feel like it adds a wee bit. I know the camera's quite light, but you can see just there I'm doing the top one first and the wee side ones, and then I'm going to fill the scallop between and paint along the bottom of her dress, just so she's nice, so it's just nice and filled in, and that'll obviously add to the effect of the ombre as well. Just fill that in as best as you can. And next up, obviously, on her face, she's got little freckles, which I've got a really fine paintbrush. I'm just going to paint those in on either cheek. Again, you can as well, if you'd rather do catch lights with paint, you can do that too. So you could do catch lights at this stage rather than using fondant, because I know they're tiny little balls. It might be harder for you to do. So whatever you feel more comfortable with, you can obviously omit whatever steps you feel necessary. But just pop her wee cheeks in, and that's her. So I think you can see on the camera she's filled in, and like I said, I'll go back later and fill in her dress, but for now that's me. So I hope you've enjoyed. I'm going to try and do one every day, obviously with the current circumstances, but yeah, thank you for watching.